Well, good evening to all who have joined this evening. We thank you for taking some time to spend a few minutes with us this evening. We are privileged to be able to share with you, excuse me, just a little bit about 516 Now and our work. And my name is John Barrett. I'm president of 516 Now. And I've got just a few comments that I'm going to make just as an introduction. And then you're going to hear from some of our country leaders in 3 different countries that we're working in. But I thought I would share just a little bit at a kind of a high level about 516 Now and the work that we do. Our strategic intent is to build wholly prosperous and sustainable communities. And we do that by working together with people in our target communities, not coming in and doing something that we think is correct, but really working side by side with them. To the extent possible, we want to ensure that all projects are sustainable. That is, that they will continue when we leave. By pointing to God and glorifying Him in everything that we do, which is really the core of our organization and the genesis of our name, 516, coming from Matthew 5:16. I'll let your light so shine that others will see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. And then facilitating the involvement of individuals both inside and outside of our communities to pursue that vision, and proceeding on faith. In other words, we don't believe that the work is caused by or limited by funds or people or anything else. It's really driven by our faith that God will provide and continue to provide. So just real quickly, what do we mean by holy? Well, holy in our perspective means that we're seeking to lift up the name and the work of Jesus Christ so that the entire community where we're working is touched by that redemptive power, to give people an opportunity to understand the love and the life-changing power of Jesus Christ. What do we mean by prosperous? Well, we believe that a prosperous community is one in which basic needs are met or have the opportunity to be met. We're not thinking about prosperous in the sense that the US or the developed world sometimes think about this in terms of accumulating wealth, but it's more just giving people the opportunity to meet basic needs. And then lastly, sustainable. And what we mean by that is that the person or community where we're working is not dependent upon us or any other outsider for financial or other support. And that when we begin to exit a community, that community will continue to thrive under these same kind of conditions and scenarios. So 516 began in Nicaragua, which is in Central America, and you can see on the map there kind of between Mexico and Colombia in South America. And about 5 years ago, God allowed us to expand into the Dominican Republic, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner there, shares an island with Haiti, and is just to the southeast of Cuba. That's Cuba in the center top there. And then more recently, we began working in 3 other countries, in Belize and El Salvador in Central America, and in Colombia, just kind of at the end of the isthmus there at the northwest corner of South America. And so we're currently working in all of these areas. And key to our work is the leadership that God has led us to and that we partner with in each of these countries. So in Nicaragua, our leader there is Maria, and you'll be hearing from her in just a few minutes. In El Salvador, it's Oswaldo, and you'll be hearing from him in just a few minutes as well. In Belize, Neru, and Neru is not able to join us this evening, and so I'll be making a few comments about Belize. And then in the Dominican, Jaime. Jaime is actually the individual that worked with us to start 516 Now in Nicaragua, but he and his family are now living in the DR. And then Jacobus in Colombia. And so we're going to start our kind of on-site review this evening in El Salvador, from the capital there, San Salvador, with Oswaldo. And so I'm going to stop sharing, and Oswaldo will join us, and Scott Vody of our board will be assisting Oswaldo in translating for him.
Oswaldo?
Hola, hola. Muy buenas tardes, hermanos y hermanas.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters.
Es para mí un placer poder compartir con ustedes lo que Dios está haciendo en El Salvador.
It's a pleasure for me to be talking with you about what we're doing in El Salvador.
Me gustaría comenzar hablando acerca del programa Smiling School Kids
I'd like to begin with our Smiling School Kids program
y comenzar hablando acerca de qué es lo que hemos hecho.
What have we done?
En primer lugar, nosotros hemos iniciado los refuerzos escolares cada 2 sábados al mes.
Continue.
De igual forma, nosotros hemos tenido nuevos niños este año en el programa. Y nosotros también hemos entregado ya una primera parte del complemento escolar. You don't... En el año 2023, nosotros creemos que todo va a ir bien. Scott, ¿no vas a traducir para?
No, porque ya es en inglés. And it's okay.
Okay. Okay,
Sigue adelante, por favor.
y lo hago en español.
Sí.
Okay.
For those
Eliseo.
listening, we are trusting that you're able to read the headlines on these slides while Oswaldo is talking. So,
And if there's any difference in what Oswaldo is saying, I will translate. Sigue adelante con Eliseo.
Okay. Eliseo está ahora en la presencia de Dios. No sé, pero no me siento cómodo hacerlo así porque mejor lo hago en inglés.
Sí.
No fue lo que practicamos tú y yo.
Eliseo was a boy in the Smiling School Kids program who unfortunately came down with cancer earlier this year, and he died.
En segundo lugar, quiero hablar acerca del Ministerio de Mujeres
So in the second place, he wants to talk about the women's ministry.
y hablar acerca de qué es lo que hemos hecho.
And here's what we're doing.
Nosotros hemos iniciado con reuniones semanales con las mujeres.
They meet every week with the women.
También hemos iniciado y también ya hemos terminado un programa de discipulado de 8 semanas.
Yeah, and they have just finished an 8-week discipleship program with the women.
¿Y qué es lo que sigue a continuación?
And next,
nosotros vamos a desarrollar 3 conferencias.
they want to develop 3 conferences.
La primera, cómo iniciar un negocio.
First, how to start a business.
2, acerca de administración financiera.
Administration of finances.
Y 3, manejo de conflictos.
And managing conflict.
Número 2, vamos a tener un programa de visitación.
They want to have a program of scheduling follow-up visits with the women.
Con el propósito de ver las condiciones de las mujeres.
With the purpose of seeing their living conditions.
Observar las áreas en las que podemos ayudar mejor.
To observe the areas where they can help them better.
Y proveer un seguimiento pastoral más eficaz.
And to provide pastoral follow-up.
Número 3, vamos a continuar con la consejería.
And 3, they're going to continue with counseling.
Y lo vamos a hacer siempre con un proceso ordenado.
Always with an orderly process.
Y en una conexión con otras ayudas
and
podamos tener.
in connection with other support for the women,
Y siempre daremos seguimiento pastoral.
and always with pastoral follow-up.
Por favor, ayúdenos a orar por lo siguiente.
Please help us pray for the following needs.
Actualmente nosotros en la capital estamos pagando $1,500 por el lugar donde nosotros estamos reuniéndonos.
We are located in the capital, where we're paying $1,500 a month for a facility that can no longer meet our growing needs.
Y nosotros necesitamos comprar una propiedad donde nosotros podamos hacer todo el trabajo que hacemos con los niños y las mujeres.
We want to purchase our own property where we can use that $1,500 a month to build our own facility to better serve the needs of the community and do the work of God.
También nosotros necesitamos un transporte para poder traer a las personas al programa y también para otros ministerios.
And we also need some kind of transportation, like a microbus, to bring people to our programs and to fulfill other ministry work.
Muchas gracias.
Many thanks.
Okay, thank you, Oswaldo. That was a great report. I know there's a lot of work going on, and it's hard to share that in just a few minutes. But thank you very much. We're now going to move over to Maria, and Maria heads our work in Nicaragua. So Maria, I'll hand it over to you.
Hello, everyone. God bless you. I would like to share with you what God is doing here in Nicaragua. This year, we have the opportunity to bless more than 200 children in Palacagüina and Biriambas community. Thank the Lord, because with this blessing, the children were able to go to the school. They received backpacks, they received uniforms, shoes, and the thing that they were needing at that time. You can see some pictures about the delivering the packets, and I would like to share with you some information about a special family. All these families, they have a special need, and today I will share with you Valeria Obando's testimony. In the picture, she is with her mom. The father is in a field hand working on a corn and wheat farm. However, he has a terminal illness and isn't expected to live more than about 18 months. But God is doing a miracle on his life, because they received this sad news 6 years ago. We are so thankful with God, because they are attending one of the churches here in the community, and Valeria, she's taking an intensive English class. Her plan is to work in a call center in the future to support his family. All these families, they are so thankful for your support. Your support is so appreciated for them. Thank you for shining your light in Nicaragua, and please continue praying for these families. Other projects that we have in the country is the pastry project. We already finished with 2 groups. Around 36 ladies, they receive classes to help them to develop their own business. In addition, with this benefit, we had devotional meeting with them, sharing the gospel, and some of them are attending some churches in their communities. We have the opportunity to visit some ladies who are working on their own pastry business. They are selling, and what we are doing is help them develop a business and savings plans to help them with their own business. We have 3 more projects. We have carpentry and we have automobile paint, trying to give them tools to improve their conditions. All of the families in our program live in very poor housing. For some, it is an unsafe house. In 2022, we completed an experimental project with one family. And this project was a success. Rudy, we found this child the first time that we visit the Dome area in Roberto Clemente community. That's why we call this project Casa Rudy. They didn't have resources to feed their family, and they didn't have resources to build a house. You can see the house before. This was the place where they lived. And now, in front of the new house, with your support, with your prayers, and with your help, all this was possible. This year, we have 2 potential families. The cost of this house was around $5,000. Please help us to pray, because we know God has all the resources to bless them. Do you want to make a difference in this needy world? Do you want to be part of the solution? Help us to help others in Central America, the Dominican Republic, and Colombia. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Maria and Scott. Thank you for sharing the work that is taking place in Nicaragua. And Neru is not able to join us this evening. And so I'll be sharing a few slides about the work in Belize. Here's a picture of Neru and his wife, Norma. Neru is a retired school teacher there and is a full-time pastor at a church in Corozal, which is in the northern part of Belize, near Mexico. And Neru has a particular heart for a community there called San Antonio, which is a community of about 1,200 people or so, where there's very little work, there's a very high percentage of drug use, and it's a community that really does not have a lot of hope. And so we are praying that God will allow us to continue to expand the small work that we've begun there and really make a difference in that community. So we've begun a microfinance ministry with $2,000 Belize. By the way, the exchange rate there is exactly 2 to 1. So $2,000 Belize is 1,000 US. That ministry was started by Neru, and that's now been handed off to 2 women who are in Neru's church and who have that same passion for sharing Christ in the community there in Corozal and San Antonio specifically. And their names are Naida and Bree. And you can see their picture over to the right there when they are beginning to talk with individuals about receiving a loan. So I'd like to introduce you to just a couple of people that have received a loan through 516 now in Corozal and in the San Antonio community. One is Eloisa. She has a candy store in front of her home. There's a picture on the left there of the little candy store that she has. And with her loan, she was able to expand her inventory and then also to close in the store. You can see the screen, little window and the screen covering in the front to prevent the neighborhood children from coming by on their bicycles and reaching in quickly and grabbing some candy and leaving without paying. So that's been a tremendous blessing for her. Juliet is pictured on the right. She lives in San Antonio, and she really has 2 little businesses. One is she prepares and delivers meals from her home, and then also runs a little snack store at the local elementary school, and that's what you see her doing here. She used the money from her loan to improve her kitchen, to upgrade her kitchen, expand her inventory for her little snack store, and to cover the porch on her home so she could have a place where people could come and get their meals without being in the harsh sun or in the rain. A third individual is Jay, pictured here, and he is just as happy as he looks. He's a wonderful man that just really loves what he does. He's a farmer, and he raises pigs and as well as some crops. And so Jay has used really 2 loans that we've made to him to buy more piglets to increase his crop of plants as well, and to improve the pens where he houses the pigs, and to update his irrigation system. Jay is very, very entrepreneurial and is really working very hard to provide for his family. And in all of these cases, they are not only receiving the money, but they receive counseling, prayer support, and any additional support in terms of advice or counseling, or just assistance with their family and needs that they have, et cetera, from Naida and Bree, who are running the program. We are working to expand the ministry really outside of just the Christian community. Juliet, for example, that you just saw on the previous page, is not a believer yet, but we're praying that that will happen soon. We have no bad loans so far. And as I mentioned, Bree and Nate are working closely with each loan recipient and really giving them full benefit of their experience, as well as praying with them and praying for their family. So you may be asking, well, what are our next steps? So God has led us from just working in Nicaragua to now working in 5 different countries. And I would summarize our next steps really as 3 key areas. One is supporting and growing the leaders where we are now. We're in 5 countries with 5 very strong leaders, and you've met 2 of those tonight. There are many new areas of ministry. You've heard about some of those with Maria, for example, talking about the cooking classes, the pastry classes, and the training areas that she would like to begin in carpentry and in auto body repair. And there are many people just living without the hope that Jesus brings. And so we want to continue to be as creative and insightful as we can in looking for these new areas of ministry that really will help communities, that help to establish and strengthen our strategic intent of building holy, prosperous, and sustainable communities. Secondly, we want to carefully and prayerfully consider growing as God creates new opportunities outside of those areas where we are working now. We believe that that's really centered around people. We cannot do anything really without the leaders like you have met this evening, like Maria and Oswaldo, that we would really be completely ineffective without people like this that we can partner with and work with. And so that really is the key element of any kind of expansion that we would seriously consider. And then lastly, to do this, we need to strengthen our financial and prayer support network. It takes money to begin new work. It comes as no surprise. And also sustainability, which is a core element of our vision, is challenging in some programs and in some economies. For example, we've had to temporarily curtail our microfinance work in Nicaragua because the economy is just under very great pressure there. So I would encourage you to visit our website. It's 516, just the numbers 516 and the word now.org, 516now.org. And you can click on the About Us tab to learn a little bit more about 516. You can click on the Get Involved tab to learn ways that you might get involved, either taking a trip or sponsoring a child or other types of steps that you can take. And then lastly, just donate now. If you'd like to make a donation, you can make that donation online very easily and quickly. So that concludes our overview this evening. I'd like to end our time with just a very brief prayer and blessing. This is from the book of Ephesians, and this is a blessing that Paul wrote to the Ephesian church roughly 2,000 years ago. And I'll just repeat that today and pray that same blessing on each of you this evening. I pray that out of God's glorious riches, he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. And now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all that we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen.